Today we're going to be talking kobolds and why you should choose to play one in your game. So grab some friends and get ready to employ some pack tactics here on Rolling with Advantage. Today we're going to be talking kobolds, and this is a race that I almost never see played. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen this played before. And it's generally because if somebody says, I want to play a small character, they're going to go with a halfling. They're going to play with a gnome, or maybe if they want to do something monstrous, they're going to go with a goblin. Now, the reason you may ask, why would no one play a kobold if, they're fun, they're small, they're like little dragon people, is if we look at their stat block, +2 to dexterity is great, -2 to strength thematically makes sense, but there's no other bonuses here. So it's really a straight wash stat-wise. Also coming down, grovel, cower, beg. It's a fun ability for RP reasons and stuff like that. I think I'd have a lot of fun with this. But it's not something to go, oh, gee, I want to build around that. Pack tactics is great. If you're attacking with somebody, you get advantage. So you're thinking, hey, maybe a rogue would be super easy to pull off sneak attacks with this. But it's the sunlight sensitivity that really makes people pull away from the kobold and say, yeah, I don't want to do that. Because basically what this says is if you're, in direct sunlight or who you're attacking is in direct sunlight, you get disadvantage on all those attacks. That's a huge problem. But there's a couple ways to get around it. One, the aforementioned pack tactics. If you are attacking close to somebody in the sun, those two things will cancel out. But if you're playing a rogue character, it's hard for you to get advantage again, so that might make it difficult. So the first thing I would do if I was thinking about bringing this to a table is I might ask my DM, where is this game taking place? If it's in the Underdark, if you're in the jungles of Chult doing Tomb of Annihilation or something like that, this is a great option. If you're going to be out on a boat, and it's going to be, open seas and a whole lot of sun, you're going to have to be pretty creative and talk to your DM, like, these are things I'd like to do, how can I get around it, that type of thing. But even if you're playing in a campaign where you're going to be in open fields and a lot of sun, I think I have an idea here that can kind of help get us around all of that. And that's really going to be utilizing pack tactics to always negate sunlight sensitivity. So one of the things that I wanted to do as we build this is start with the Artificer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 levels in Artificer. For proficiencies, I want to get as many of these as I can. So I took Alchemist Supplies here, skills, I took Arcana and History since I'm going to be intelligence-based. And then as we go through here now, the infusions. Now, I like Bag of Holding, Alchemy Jug I think would be something kind of fun. And then Enhanced Weapon or Repeating Shot. Today I'm actually going to give you 2 ways to play this character. Same build, but 2 totally different ways to play it. The option 1, as we talk about the Battlesmith, is to play it as basically a mounted knight, where you're going to have a lance and a shield, and you're going to be charging into combat on your Iron Defender that we get for being a Battlesmith. So the idea behind this is that I'm always going to have pack tactics running because I am literally riding my ally into battle, so that will always be working for me. So if I'm in sunlight, doesn't matter, cancels out. And if I'm not in sunlight, I will always have advantage because I'm bringing my friend with me. That could be really fun. So I think that's one way to play this, and I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about how I would play that version of it. That version of it, I would take Shield Master as my first feat, since I'm going to be kind of doing a sword and board or lance and board or something of that nature. I think it'd be kind of fun. I'm a huge fan of Shield Master as a feat. So that's one way to do it. And then what I would do is, after I took 5 levels of this, I would take 5 levels of Fighter Cavalier to kind of double down on the whole mounted combat thing. I think because you're small, you're going to be on just a regular sized, animal mount kind of thing. I don't think you're ever going to have a problem getting in and out of places with this. So I feel that, having, not like you're taking a giant horse into a dungeon or something. I think you should almost always be able to be mounted on this thing. So that's one way to play it. Actually, both ways we're going to play this is going to be a Cavalier Battlesmith mix. So that's the first way. The second way to do it is to play it more of a hit and run guerrilla style kobold, where you're still on your mount, but you're more running around the battlefield, peppering your enemies with a crossbow or a short bow or something of that nature, and then using the spell arcane weapon to basically shoot like flaming arrows or lightning arrows as you're running around the battlefield. Because the cool thing is that the mount that you get for Iron Defender actually has a base speed of 40 feet. So you're going to be able to run around the battlefield, stay at a distance, and kind of kite people or just kind of run around people while laying out these arrows. I mean, even with a short bow with arcane weapon, you're going to be firing 2d6 arrows in. That's pretty good. And the fact too is that as a Battlesmith at level 5, we'll get that extra attack. Now I can shoot 2 arrows around doing that. That's really, really strong. Now, talking about spells, if you're going to take this, I really would take Mending, because it's a way for you to heal your mount. I always like Guidance. If I have an option to get Guidance, I'm going to take it. I've said it a million times. I think it's the best cantrip in the game. Arcane Weapon, I think, is an auto pick. Either way that you're going to play this, I would run Arcane Weapon. It is a signature spell for the class. I like the idea of having grease on this, especially if you're going to be doing the guerrilla tactics, hit and run, crossbow style, throwing grease down and then running around it as you're peppering your enemies. I think could be a lot of fun. Maybe even have it where it comes out of the mount like an oil slick or something. I mean, you get to kind of flavor these spells. They've done a good job of letting us kind of tell how these spells and abilities look, reflavored. So I think that could be a lot of fun. I also like the idea of jump, because I could cast it on my mount and have it leap for me in combat. I think that could be very interesting. I also love the idea of this character having rope trick. However you want to do this, whether it's the lance, sword, and shield type of thing, or if it's the arrow way, I like rope trick. I just like the idea of maybe getting you and the mount and all your buddies up in this thing and then dropping down and ambushing. If you're playing a kobold, you really need to try to role play it like, this guerrilla style, fighting style, where he's always trying to think outside the box in just a nasty way of how he can defeat his enemies. I think like Vietnam style jungle traps and stuff. When I think kobolds, I think maybe use hunters traps and things like that. So those are all ways that I would kind of build this together. Now, I want to show you what, as far as abilities go, like I said, this is not the most optimal because of the race choice. Stat-wise, we're looking at 16 in dexterity, a 6 in strength because of our racial abilities, 12 in constitution. I put 14 in intelligence. We don't actually need a huge intelligence for this class. You can either build him, dex or intelligence based. I will say this, the lance issue, a lot of people say, oh, well, with the lance, it's a strength weapon. But remember, you get to use, as a Battlesmith, we get to use our intelligence modifier over strength. So we can, if we're going to go the lance route, then as our ASIs start picking up at level 4, level 8, and whatnot, really be sure that we pump up our intelligence, because we're not going to use our dexterity for the lance like we could on the bow build. So 2 different ways to look at it, but don't worry if you've got a low strength for this class, even if you're trying to do the sword and board thing, because we're going to be using our intelligence beginning at level 3. So for description, I took folk hero background because I want to be sure I have animal handling, since I'm always going to be on my mount. Also gives me survival, which is why I kind of pumped up my wisdom a little bit. I'd pick up a breastplate pretty quick, or you start with a splint mail. Either one of those works fine. Pick up a shield if you want to do the lance and shield deal. Short bow. Maybe at level 1 you might start with a spear. First level, couple levels, just get through them. Level 3 is really where this whole build kind of takes off. So that is how this looks. So let's look at the character sheet here real quick. I just want to point a couple of things out. AC is going to be pretty good, and this is, of course, with no magic items or anything like that. I haven't infused my weapons or my armor or anything. So this is actually kind of a tank kobold, which is also funny. And really, if you want to build, say you've played a lot of D&D, and you're like, you know what, I want to do something totally different. that I've never seen before. This is absolutely the build for you. It is a unique snowflake. Almost never see kobolds at the table. Battlesmith Artificer is a brand new subclass. I don't see a lot of Cavaliers at a table, so bringing these three things together, it is very unique. And I think that is going to be fun in the uniqueness of it. So this is the build. If you have any other thoughts, I'm still theory crafting this. Please be sure to leave some comments below. I'd love to hear some feedback from the community. If you'd like to see some future content like this, let me know. Like, what are some other builds and ideas that you're looking at you'd like me to kind of brainstorm with you? Love to do it. And as always, keep rolling with advantage and be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot. Bye.